the tech programs that what I call first generation platforms have deployed, most of these programs don't meet their expectations. They don't meet the expectations of the clients. They don't meet the expectations of the bankers or the fintechs. And the reason is they're one solution that are supposed to solve the problem of a global enterprise that does business with a lot of different counterparties in different ways that simply cannot be dealt with one solution. And so I said, fine, let's try and solve the problem.
Great. So welcome to the second edition of The Working Capitalist, the podcast from the Working Capital Forum. I'm Mike Hewitt, and every week I bring on a guest with something new to say about the world of working capital. This week, I'm delighted to welcome Ali Ansari, the founder of Nifina. Ali, hello.
Hey, Mike. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're very welcome. So we're always interested to see new products and new thinking in the area of working capital. Now, of course, we've known each other for a while, but for those who don't know you, could you give our audience a bit of a background on your own history in the area of working capital and trade finance?
Sure. Thank you. So Ali Ansari, I have been in the space of financial world for about 3 decades now. Started off as a trainee with PwC, did my chartered accountancy, then worked so that was 5 years of understanding processes, sitting down with warehouses, procurement officers, salespeople, making sure I understood how everything was recorded and how the numbers supported business. Then I spent the next 10 years in risk and compliance. I was the money laundering compliance officer, one of the first ones in the world, I guess, because I was an MLRO in 2001, and there weren't many that I know who had similar title. I rolled out automated money laundering detection systems for a bank called ABN AMRO in Singapore. I came to London with them. And then I spent another few years with JP Morgan doing product risk and governance. So every new product for transaction banking had to go through me for approval and review. And that's when I learned the ropes of controls and frameworks that were essential for making products robust. And in the last 15 odd years, I have been doing product structuring, sales, and business management with various banks, including Sumitomo, Bank of America, HSBC. And the last role that I did as an employee was with a company called Taulia. I joined them because I wanted to give myself space to be creative. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But I then joined them and it was a great journey. They got acquired by SAP, massive valuation. All of us got what we wanted from Taulia. And after 3 years, I thought it was time for me to explore different parts of life. I then left Taulia, spent a year doing music, launched a music album, started doing gigs, and realized it was not the industry I wanted to be in for business. It's definitely still my passion. And for the last year or so, I have started working on this problem that we've all seen for the past 3 decades at least, which we can solve through Nifina. That's my introduction.
Wow. So that's quite a comprehensive CV. You've done a lot. The musician gig, I wasn't fully aware of. That's impressive stuff. And then to come back to our world, thank you for returning. So let's dive into the idea of Nifina. So you've got all this experience in working capital, trade finance, product development, but there was clearly something that you saw in the world of working capital and supply chain finance that you thought needed fixing, which inspired you to develop Nifina. What was it that you saw that you thought we could do this better?
So first of all, the time I spent doing transactions, 15 years or so, was too long. And I've worked with really complex structures across the world, providing solutions from Sweden to South Africa, Japan to Mexico. And one thing I noticed was one thing was common. It took too long to get a deal done. And most of the times we had the deal in place, it had missed the opportunity for which it was structured in the first place. Also, when you look at the programs, the tech programs that what I call first generation platforms have deployed, most of these programs don't meet their expectations. They don't meet the expectations of the clients. They don't meet the expectations of the bankers or the fintechs. And the reason is they're one solution that are supposed to solve the problem of a global enterprise that does business with a lot of different counterparties in different ways, cuts across many geographies and processes and practices that simply cannot be dealt with one solution. So there was a need to deploy something that was nimble, that was intelligent, and that was available for all types of financing, not just large scale programs. And so I said, fine, let's try and solve the problem. The problem has proof, lots of surveys and lots of reports that suggest that this problem exists, because if you look at World Bank or IFC reports, they say there's a $5 trillion gap of SME financing. If you look at the PwC report, this is about $2 trillion of excess working capital with the large corporates. So you have companies that are sitting on a lot of money. They don't know what to do with it. There are companies that are in need of money. They can't get access to it. Then you look at the banks. They have a lot of liquidity. The asset to deposit ratio of banks is far from where it needs to be. So there's money available. There is money available for the banks. There's money available for the large companies, but the SMEs are not getting the money. And it's simply because they're smaller flows. The complex solutions that are needed are not attractive enough for the big banks. And you need a technology solution that is nimble, intelligent, and scalable. And there isn't one right now.
So what would I see if I'm logging into the new platform for the first time? Now, I'm reasonably familiar, and I guess a lot of our viewers are, with some of the existing supply chain finance and working capital platforms. What am I going to be seeing and what am I going to be experiencing if I've just started working with the platform? What's my first experience? What do I see and what do I get?
So first thing is, when you get in, you'll be able to talk to Fina. Fina is our agent, is equipped with not only the information that you have in your ERP, but also equipped with proprietary models that we've built in. There's something called a counterparty confidence index that Fina has access to, that tells you how one of your counterparty differs from another one of your counterparties in terms of transaction confidence. It tells you whether, if you're dealing with party A versus party B, what are the chances those flows that you're seeing are repeatable, are dependable. Similarly, Fina is equipped with Nifina benchmark terms, which gives you idea of, hey, you know what, this counterparty that you're dealing with, whether it's your buyer or your supplier, their terms are above or beyond where they should be. And it will also tell you what is the cost of financing the flow with that counterparty. Because every counterparty has their own financing cost. You as a customer have your own financing cost, and the flow is financed either by you or by them. Somebody has to pay the money, and there's a cost associated with it. And third thing Fina does is plays you back your own data that we have access to through ERP, and it tells you what you can do with it, because it also has access to our 25, 30 years, or actually 100 years of our founders' knowledge of doing this business. So you have a banker in a box, which is Fina, with all this power, and that's the first thing you see. You can then interact with Fina, ask him what your problem is, and get on the journey with solving it.
We'll come in a minute to look at this idea of the use of AI, which of course no modern financial product is complete without. But the Fina part of this is really interesting. So it's an agent that allows you to ask questions and get reasonable responses. It sounds as though it's about operational working capital as well as purely looking for finance. So could it help me, for example, understand whether my payment terms are appropriate for a particular sector?
Yeah, so that's one purpose of Nifina benchmark terms. It will tell you exactly where your terms are versus where it need to be, versus competitors, versus market, versus industry. Yes, it's operational, but most of the challenges are at transaction level. At the holistic level, if you look at a large company, they've got the revolvers and they've got their term loans. Money is not a problem. In fact, they're sitting on more money than they need. The problem is individual flows that need to be delivered with the right kind of a financing mix and risk mix. And that's where Fina will help answer your questions. It will help you understand what are the options available. So for example, if you want to extend terms to one of your customers, it will instantly give you a confidence index. It will tell you what is the likely behavior of this customer in the future. It will tell you what payment terms there should be. So you have a reference of whether you're going above or beyond. It will give you a sense of what the cost of that extension of term is. And then if you want to manage your risk, it will tell you what it will cost to insure and what are the options of you managing that risk. If you want to sell that receivable, what kind of a structure will be appropriate for you to do that? And all that comes from a single source. It is effectively a banker in a box that helps you make decisions. Now, we are not into advisory business. We are not into marketplace. We are helping people understand their own information. We are giving them some proprietary models that give them a different view of the world. And then they can take that information, go to their own bankers or insurers and start the negotiation 9 months into the deal effectively.
Got it. So just to be clear, you're not necessarily connecting people with funders or with originators of working capital deals. Your role, the role of Nifina, is effectively as an advisor, an expert that can help you reach the right decisions, but you're not providing funding directly.
So I would choose the word advisor carefully. We are helping them understand the data. We're orchestrating their needs for them to their counterparties. Now, we will have the connectivity and the rails with the bankers and the insurers for us to process that information from their systems to the bank's rails and to make sure that everything happens fast. And that's where the agentic processes come into play. That if you have a unique product that you've created, we will be able to really trim it down and give it to the banker so they can book a loan or whatever product they have approved.
Absolutely. And just to be clear, the primary market for this new solution is corporates, or is it something that will be useful for solution providers, bankers, funders as well?
We are looking at corporates as our primary customers. But as we grow further forward and banks realize that we are actually enabling business for them, then they should also be able to use some of our services. Actually, let me put it this way. Corporates are not going to give banks their data. There's a lack of trust. They are just not going to give it to them. So banks will never be in a position to make the conclusions that they can use through subscribing to Nifina. If you want a specific flow and if you want to understand how that flow gives you a certain confidence index, you have to use Nifina. You can't ask the customer to give you all the information. Customers don't like giving it to the banks. They've breached the trust way too many times. It's just not the industry where I expect all banks to have access to all customers' data. Not going to happen.
Yeah. Yes. And that brings us on to an interesting point. As AI develops, and Nifina is the key marker, I guess, on the road to the increasing role of AI in corporate decision-making, what's the future role of banks? How do banks interact with you and with AI-enabled platforms generally over the coming years? Do you see banks' roles changing, or is it essentially the same, just with a new intermediary layer between the corporate and the bank?
The bank's role has always been provision of risk, safekeeping of deposits. That will continue to happen. I don't expect somebody else to be underwriting. I know the private credit guys are quite keen on alternative classes of asset, but I don't expect that to become the mainstream funding source of these deals. I think will remain the banks. Banks have the underwriting capability. They have the mandate to underwrite and provide risk capital. So they should be doing that. And we've seen in the last 20, 25 years that they're terrible at developing technology. So they will simply work with technology providers like Nifina. I don't think I see us as an intermediary. We are a technology solution. Banks need technology. They are using emails to communicate with customers. Before they were sending letters. Is Microsoft now an intermediary? No, they're an enabler. So are we. We're not. I don't see myself as an intermediary or a marketplace developer. We're just a technology platform that's making the process easy for everybody.
Got to. And interesting question. Is this possible without, was it the development and the increasing sophistication of AI and what it could do that really inspired Nifina? Or is this something you would have done even in a pre-AI world?
Great question. I don't think this was possible before. Somebody would have done it otherwise. It is the right way to do things. And I think AI enables it. AI enables us to put a banker in a box. AI enables us to give the client the power to spar with an agent and find their own solutions. AI enables the creation of agentic processes. This just wasn't there before. So for you to create a scheme, which is what a specific financing arrangement is, you would have had to develop a product. Now, you don't need to develop a product. Every scheme can be its own product and it's get developed real time, of course, within the constraints, but it gets developed real time through an agentic process. And this wasn't possible before.
So do you think, I mean, we hear about AI all the time. It's become a bit of a buzzword. You know, every product we see now says it includes AI, and many of them really don't. What is it that separates Nifina from many of the other platforms that are claiming to have some AI input or an AI element to what they do?
Well, a couple of things. First, as I mentioned, the Nifina will have access to some proprietary models. Those models are our 20 years of experience condensed in a few files and a little bit of output that Nifina has that most people won't have. We are also using it in its full glory, the AI systems, the AI infrastructure. We are making sure that the data that is available to the individuals through our agent is available in a curated manner, and it's fit for making decisions. It's not just random access to a data lake where you go and fish. We have spent a lot of time curating the data to make sure we have the right inputs for AI to give you the right answers. And just look at invoice, for example, there are about 40 odd data points in that one document that can change your decision to financing. And we have pulled that out, we've put it in an index, and we've equipped Nifina with the ability to guide the recipient with that information and what to do with it.
Okay. What we're interested in, I guess, is when we're going to be seeing Nifina live and out there and actually embedded in corporates. But before I press you on that, just give me a sense of where you are in the development of the business. We've seen you've been doing some great recruiting. You have a new chair and you've got a good team in there. So tell us where you are in the development phase. You've gone public, you've announced, so that's step one, if you like. But is Nifina ready to be deployed yet? Is there still work to do? What is the journey looking like for you at the moment?
There's a lot of work to do. We are just getting started. We did the proof of concept, so created a prototype. Wasn't very difficult to do. And nowadays, with the power of AI, you could develop something rather quickly if you know what you're doing. So it took us a few months to do that. We ran it past a number of procurement people and got feedback from them. We then raised money, we assembled the team, and now we are developing it as a robust platform. We're developing 3 independent but interconnected systems. There is the AI agent, Nifina, then there is the agentic processes, and then there is the platform. The platform actually is what we call Generation 1 solution. It runs the rails. It connects the counterparties. Everybody comes in, they see there's an UI, there are some engine rules of engagement, calculations and so forth, then make things work robustly. But then the other 2 things are more futuristic. We've started building that. The architecture is ready. We've got the infrastructure in development. Funny enough, the development that we've done for the AI piece was on infrastructure that's already obsolete. It's how fast things are moving. So we're now looking at new ways of connectivity. They're more efficient. It doesn't take away from our approach, how you interact with Nifina. It's simply how we plug the pipes at the back end. And there is the guys with Claude, Anthropic, Google. These guys are doing amazing developments at speed that is shockingly scary. We make a choice. We do architecture design reviews. And we say, this is what we're going to do. And in 3 months' time, we say, you know what, we need to review that because now we have a new version of something. So that's where we are. We are building it. Hopefully Q3 and we should be done with enough development to call it an MVP, a deployable version of our platform. We have a few clients waiting for us to deploy with them. So they can not only do the proof of concept, but proof of value. They can extract value from Nifina. That's where we are.
Excellent. So it looks like we'll have another conversation in Q3 or Q4 when you'll be able to hopefully reveal the first public use of the new platform. But a last question for you. If everything goes the way you would like it to go, let's say 5 years' time, where would you like Nifina to sit in the working capital universe? Is your ambition to see it deployed in every corporate? Where would you like to be?
I think we'd like us to be an app within the ecosystem. ERP should offer us as the preferred solution for creating working capital solutions. Banks, or at least the non-banks providers, should offer it to their clients as a plugin that helps them understand their own business and then come back to the bankers or the underwriters with requests. And it will be independent. It will never be part of a bank. But if a bank goes to a client and say, hey, you know what, if you deploy your information with Nifina, you can then ask us what you need. Much better, much cleaner. We'll be able to serve you a lot better.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to speaking again in 5 years' time when all of that has absolutely come true. But for now, Ali Ansari, thank you very much for joining us and good luck with the launch. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.